Today I am going to be debating why GMOs are not ecologically sustainable and are potentially harmful to the environment. Now, to call something ecologically sustainable is to claim that thing is reducing our impact on the natural environment as well as our health. Now, while some may agree that this is the case with GMOs, there are countless negatives that many fail to see or acknowledge while arguing for them, enough so to the point where there's more harm being done than good. Now, one of the biggest problems with GMOs in agriculture is the amount of herbicides being used. Since farmers started using herbicide-resistant GMOs regularly in their crops, there has been a massive increase in the number of herbicides being used on farms. In fact, in the period from 1996 to 2011, there was a 527 million pound increase in herbicide use within the United States alone. Now, this doesn't seem like a big deal on the surface. However, with such a large amount of herbicides being used, weeds can become resistant to them as well, making it harder for farmers to grow their crops. Genetically modified crops also have the potential to create new weeds via cross-pollination with wild plants, once again resulting in weeds that are resistant to herbicides. These superweeds, as they are called, may grow a resistance to glyphosate, which is a compound frequently found in herbicides, and as a result, farmers may have to use harsher and potentially harmful herbicides as a last resort in order to rid their farms of weeds. Additionally, these weeds can spread to farming systems that do not use GMOs as well, which will end up causing serious damage to them as they are not equipped to handle these sorts of plants. However, even in the event where herbicides do work effectively on farms, an excessive amount of weed control has been shown to affect insect biodiversity. In fact, a study in the American Midwest showed that in the period from 1999 to 2010, there was a 58% decline in milkweed, and as a result, there was a decrease of monarch butterflies by 81%. Heavy use of glyphosate can also harm soil microbial communities that are beneficial to plants. For example, earthworms, which break down organic matter and increase the amount of water and air in the soil to help plants, can become less viable due to overuse of herbicides. Without these species and their ability to support crops, plants may become more vulnerable to pathogens, and there will also be a decrease in minerals and micronutrients within the soil, that which are essential to the health of crops. Though someone who's for GMOs may argue that genetic modifications are advantageous to both farmers and consumers because they result in faster crop production along with more nutritious food sources, there's the bigger issue of a lack of genetic diversity. When there is a reduction in the genetic diversity of a crop, there is the potential for said crop to have difficulty adapting to a changing environment. A good example of this would be the potato famine that took place in Ireland during the 1800s. A lack of genetic diversity among the potatoes left them susceptible to a pathogen, which resulted in a lack of potatoes. If GMOs crossbred with wild crops, it would lead to a decrease in genetic variability, which would eventually end with these nutritious food sources dying out. Another reason some are in favor of GMOs is their resistance to pests. However, this isn't entirely the case, as the use of GMOs has recently led to insects evolving to withstand the genetically engineered traits that are designed to kill them. For example, in June of 2019, farmers in Nova Scotia, Canada found that the European corn borer had developed a resistance to traits designed to kill it. If we continue to use GMOs in order to get rid of pests, eventually insects will no longer be affected by genetically modified traits that are designed to keep them away. Overall, despite their benefits, GMOs will end up causing more harm than good. In the long run, if farmers continue to use genetically modified crops, it could lead to superweeds that are even harder to get rid of than normal ones, as well as a lack of insect biodiversity and the minerals in soil needed to sustain plants, along with less genetic diversity among plants and insects that are immune to the effects of GMOs, which are designed to drive them away. For these reasons, GMOs are not ecologically sustainable and they do not promote farmer-directed agriculture.